as you're receiving your financial aid award letters, and hopefully you're getting a lot of scholarships and grants, you're probably wondering why aid can vary so much between letters from one school to the next. Now, I've done a podcast episode where it talks about how aid really works. And I would suggest that you go to that episode to listen to understand how schools really sort of put these numbers together, these packages together, I should say. But I want to take a moment to kind of dive a little bit deeper into the formulas because I was recently talking to another advisor who's helping some clients, and we were getting super technical, and I won't get into that much detail. But basically, what I had to explain to this gentleman was that when you look at the FAFSA, okay, the federal form, that information, that form is very much black and white. Every college that your student or you sent that form to is going to work off the same number, the SAI or Student Aid Index. Okay. Again, the form is very black and white in terms of what you have to put on there, what you don't have to put on there. So everybody ends up getting the same number. Now, what they do with that number can really vary among different schools. Okay, that's true. But everybody works off that same base number. On the other hand, in the CSS world, the schools that use the CSS profile, they all get the same information off the CSS profile form, but they can use the formula in any which way they want. And so they can all end up with different numbers. And of course, then they can do different things with that number. So that's one of the reasons why you can have two nearly identical schools with nearly identical sticker prices and end up with two completely different financial aid or scholarship offers. Now, those aren't the only reasons. There are other factors, but that is among the reasons. So when schools calculate, or I should say when schools talk about, we meet full need, so we calculate how much we think you can afford, and then we give you the difference in full financial aid. A lot of these schools are what are called full need met. You can still end up with very different numbers because different schools can calculate the numbers differently in the CSS world. That's where most of these full need met schools are. And then they can use the number differently. So I know it can be really confusing. And at some point, I will do a podcast episode to take a really, really deep dive into the formulas and what really are the differences. But for now, as you're sitting there thinking about, okay, who gave me what, who gave the best offer, whatever, just understand that, yes, everybody might have gotten the same information, but everybody can do something different with it, both in the FAFSA world and the CSS world. And quite frankly, in the CSS world, these schools might have calculated completely different numbers versus what another school may have done. So does it really help with lessening the confusion? No, I'm afraid not. Unfortunately, if anything, it just adds to the confusion, right? But that's the way the system works. So if you want to know more, listen to my other podcast episodes, again, especially the one on how aid really works, if you really want to understand the sort of the game behind the system, right? But as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.